Hi, welcome to the Liverpool Community Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Johnson Lynch, here in the Big Condo Studios. And once again, I'm joined by yet another interesting person from the community that I would love to hear more about, so I'm thinking you will love the same. And so today I'm joined by Charlie McDonald from Purposeful Lives Company. How you doing, Charlie?
I am doing really well. It's so lovely to come here and see you guys. I'm excited.
No, definitely. I mean, this is one of those situations where you run into people out in the real world, and I think we met at a local jobs fair. You're the program and training manager, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
And everything. So tell us what it is that your company does, and in essence, yourself.
Thank you. Okay, so Purposeful Lives Company is a community interest company, so that means we're not profit making. Every penny that we make gets put back into the business and the projects that we run. And my job, or part of my job, is to help to sort of form and shape the training, the development that we offer out to community members to help them to, well, our focus as a business is helping people to lead more productive, more fulfilling, and ultimately happier lives.
And you said purposeful lives as well.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like the thing that people don't even know that is within them, isn't it?
I know.
And sometimes it's not about like therapy. It's about support, guidance, listening. And I mean, pretty much that's kind of like what your team are all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think when we talk about purpose, a lot of people feel like, you know, if they haven't discovered their purpose, that there's something wrong with them, or, you know, they're not interesting, and that's just not true. You know, we all have stuff inside of us. It's just a case of it comes out when it comes out. Our job as an organisation is to help people to kind of dig a little bit deeper and discover what might be underneath the surface, things that they might have been pushing down, things that they might have thought were a bit daft or a bit out of reach.
Not taken note of.
Not taken note of, absolutely. And everybody's purpose is different, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're big into helping people to look inside.
Well, I thought was the interesting thing that you said was, you know, and dealing with people who find life itself challenging, you know, like people who either can't get work or those who have too much work.
Sure.
I mean, what's the difference in that?
I suppose the similarity would be that people, the common thread through just humanity is that life is hard, right? Adulting is hard. And people's circumstances might affect what that hardness is, how it looks. But people who can't work, that might be that they've worked all their lives, but then have become poorly, can no longer do the job they used to do, don't really know what else they can do, feel like they're not ready to completely not work ever again, but certainly couldn't do what they were doing before. There's loads of that after the pandemic.
Would you say the pandemic was one of those major obstacles for people?
Yeah, I definitely would say that. I think, you know, we're only just now starting to really understand, I think, and really have a deep feeling about what it's left us with. That residual, it was so intense at the time, wasn't it? You know, and I think we're almost too close to it still now to really fully reflect on what that's meant for people. But I think it's profoundly affected a lot of people. It's actually affected lots of people quite positively. It's given them a minute.
It's given them a change in life, of course, isn't it?
Given people time.
Well, that's true. I mean, like time that you thought you craved and didn't realize it until you had too much of it.
Yeah.
I got too much time on my hands.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And everything. But then some people, like you said, rode with that wave.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's kind of like the test of human endurance, isn't it?
It's like the ultimate test of human endurance. And interestingly, a lot of the people that we work with will be experiencing anxiety, right? And lots of the people that I coach and that we chat with say the pandemic for me was a real leveler, because all of a sudden all of the people around me who could never really understand my perspective and how I experience the world, now they get it, because that's how I live all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So for them it was like quite unifying,
Yeah.
And a relief, because all of a sudden the whole world can't go anywhere and the whole world's limited. And so a lot of anxious people felt relief because all of a sudden there was no expectation to go out. They didn't have to be socialising around people. They weren't being pressurised into work. So, yeah. Super interesting.
You know, I mean, that being said, I was like asking you because the company itself has been around for about 10 years. But you yourself have been a part of it for about 7.
That's right.
So I was wondering, like, did you happen to have any particular success stories or someone that is like kind of like on your mind about that? Like that, oh, wow, this person.
Yeah. I mean, there's a young person that we've supported for quite a while now through the pandemic, and still, even though it's light touch now. And when we first met him, his social anxiety was so significant. He'd been out of mainstream education since he was 14, didn't leave the house, didn't leave the parental home, couldn't even go in his own garden, like really quite complicated, significant barriers. He took to us and our approach really, really well. He just needed people who got it, you know, patience, compassion, kindness. And so over time with coaching and with group sessions with us through our Give, Get, Go program, he started to just feel that little bit, it's hope, it's optimism. And even if, honestly, like a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of that is present, you can grow it. Yeah. So that's what we do. We see that little seed and we go, right, we need to get on that.
Well, I think he called it exposure work.
Yeah.
And everything, like, and so like with him, you know, it's kind of like asking the appropriate questions.
Sure.
You know, not like kind of like pushing or
no.
guiding, but, you know, like just like being there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because maybe it's that constant asking, or if people realize that somebody out there seems to care about me stepping forward.
Yeah.
Would you say that was an example of that?
I would definitely say that's an example. For that particular guy, he had a really life-limiting condition because he was scared of going outside, and he was scared of what would happen if he went outside, and it was very catastrophic thinking, and, you know, really very genuinely frightening for him. So you can't say to a guy like that, oh, just get on the bus, it'll be fine. Yeah. You know, or I'll go on the
What's
bus.
wrong with you?
What's
get on the bus.
wrong with you? Just get in a taxi, I'll come with you. And I could have offered that. I could have said, come on, we'll get the bus together. But it would have been too much.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how about we start with, can you walk to the bottom of the path where you live? And then when you've done that and it feels okay and you feel safe, could you go to the lamppost, which is like 10 metres further on? Yeah. That's what we did. Like literally week by week, we just stretched that boundary a little bit further. And each time what he's doing is learning that it's safe.
Yeah.
And then you can keep pushing that boundary of that envelope that little bit further and a little bit further. And now he's amazing. And, you know, he still has his challenges and he's still anxious, but he's not housebound anymore. He can start to now think, actually, maybe I could get the bus. Perhaps I could start seeing my mates and going to festivals and going to gigs and doing all the things that young people want to do, you know?
And isn't he like working with any organization as a volunteer?
Yeah, he's just got an amazing opportunity. He's volunteering on this. It's a young person's social platform for young people with mental health challenges, and he's going to be moderating their chat room.
Yeah.
You know, so how relatable.
Where did he think he would have been years ago?
He'd have just been locked in his room gaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are so many young people out there that are doing that.
Sure.
And they think that maybe because they are somewhat interactive with the invisible voices on the computer, that's enough, you know, and everything. So it's that kind of cool.
People have to know that there's a possibility. And I think the other interesting angle about that particular story is one of my teammates, Adam, who I think was with me at the event on the day that you and I met. He actually was a participant to begin with. Oh, and this is like 4 years ago. And when he came on day one, He had his hood up. He had a cap on. He couldn't look me in the eye. He was absolutely terrified. We were at the University of Liverpool, which is where we were running the programme from. And over the weeks, he just started to unfurl. And you could kind of see the layers very slowly starting to come down. And his head was a bit higher. And he was just starting to believe that it could be possible. And just like the guy I was telling you about, he had a very similar set of social anxieties. Yeah. So he was fine. Hadn't worked for about 15 years.
Wow.
And he started volunteering with us as an organisation. He was helping me out with some like IT stuff and helping our groups like access IT, because again, he's really good at tech. And fast forward to now, and he is working full time for us. He's now in a beautiful relationship. I mean, he was anyway, but his relationship's going really well. He's got a little girl.
Aww.
And he's invaluable in our team. Like, we rely on him, you know. So for people coming in, if I can say to them, listen, this is Adam. When I first met him, he couldn't have got on a bus on his own, or he couldn't have, you know. And look, when you know as a human being that you can see an example of somebody else that you can relate to that has achieved something, it switches in your head, doesn't it? Yeah. All of a sudden you're like, okay, I now can see that that is possible.
Well, this is why I often saying people, and I even said it like today, young people, is that, you know, SEN, you know, mental health, neurodiversity, these were all like words that were applied that had a stigma to them. And now I look at it as superpowers, you know, because it's kind of like given the chance, you could turn things around.
Yeah.
But it's when you're ignored and people think that that's the better way of going.
Yeah.
You know, you don't achieve, they don't achieve.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, this is kind of like the linchpin of your ambassador program, isn't it? So, you know, tell me about Give, Get, Go.
So they give their time, because a big part of Give, Get, Go is using volunteering as a vehicle for progression, right? So we say, you're going to give 3 or 4 hours a week of your time to go and be with an employer somewhere and be a part of their team. So that's what your part of the bargain is. In return for that commitment, we are going to give you one-to-one coaching with a qualified coach. We're going to help you with your well-being support. Yeah. Sure. That's what you get back. You get the personal development. You get the learning. How you get a great CV. You get coaching around interviews. We get mock interviews with really good employers. And we've got a whole network of employers that we can kind of introduce people to and help them expand their network out, you know. And then go with the best will in the world. We want people to go. We don't want them to be, you know, around us forever, because that means they're not progressing. So with the nicest... with the nicest sort of love in the world. Get out. Go.
I mean, go for it. Go for it, like in Rocky.
Yeah, exactly.
We really value your volunteering here, though.
Exactly.
So, but now it was like, I was like saying, so is there any events that you got coming up that people should know about? And, you know, it took Charlie some time, you know, and everything like that, but with some coaching.
Nice.
Yeah, you have something coming up at the Philharmonic. Why don't you tell us about it?
So I said just there that we have a network of employers that we work with really closely, and they're great pals of ours, and they often give us complimentary tickets for gigs so that our guys can go and experience live music in that beautiful venue, you know. So they've got some vacancies. They want our help in filling them, and they're offering it out to our community of participants. So we're doing a 3-day like masterclass of how to get a job at the Philharmonic. Well, how to get a job anywhere, really,
like
particularly.
Like a pre-recruitment, like how to answer questions and what people will look, and based on your background, you know what people are looking for and their perspective and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing 3 days of that. It's more helpful. And I think what it'll give people is a proper flavour of the culture at the film, which is going to be important, right? That people understand what they're looking for, not just in your skill base, but who you are as a human. And how you will interact with their teams and the customers coming through, because that's ultimately what they want to know, isn't it? That people are going to be looked after, that their
A lot of organizations, like egg crates, they're full of round holes and they don't want any square pegs. Like that analogy?
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you. That's all good. But you didn't give us a date.
So it's the 26th, the 27th and the 28th of July. That's when we're doing the 3 days of pre-recruitment training. So if people would like to come along and be a part of that, there's
a requirement.
There is a requirement. So the requirement is basically that you're not already working. So if you're not employed at the moment and you're not in full-time study, and you would like to have a chat with us about jobs at the Philharmonic and about Give, Get, Go, then you can go on our website, which is www.transform-lives.org. You can follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter at Transform Lives Co. And you can email us as well. So I'll give you that email address so that people have got a... So if people would like to make an inquiry and just have a little chat and see what it's all about, they can email admin@transform-lives.org and we will ring you straight back and we can have a chat.
And these 3 days, they culminate first.
They culminate on the 31st. So that's a Wednesday, a Thursday and a Friday, which is the 26th, the 27th, 28th. And we have the weekend. Then on the Monday of the following week, the Philharmonic are going to be coming in, doing some interviews with the guys who've just done their training. It's at the Reach, which is part of South Liverpool Homes. It's in Speke, in Conleach Road. But again, we're not asking for people to just kind of rock up.
No.
They really would need to register with us first. So we'll make sure that everybody knows exactly where they need to be, when they need to be there, what they need to bring.
And obviously, it would be the people who probably attended the pre-recruitment anyway.
Exactly.
So you're probably thinking, hey, I don't want anybody to know our secrets. But, hey, listen, don't go if you haven't been to the 3 days before. I mean,
it can only enrich your experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All sounds fascinating. Now, before we end this, because, basically... Again, showing how small the world is.
It's a village.
It's a village. How small the village is. It turns out that me and Charlie have a mutual friend named Sean Durney, who actually has a band that Charlotte used to sing with.
It's all true.
She used to sing with this band called the Lotharios.
The Lotharios.
Now, hopefully you out there say, Lotharios, I know them. I know them. So tell us about the Latoya, because they are very interesting.
They're really interesting. We kind of fluctuate because we have a couple of guys in the group who go off travelling and do other things. So we're kind of generally a sort of 7-8 piece. The really unique style. We get dressed up, properly dressed up.
Oh, no, you got to talk about that.
All right.
Because you can't just say we get dressed up.
So the first time that I went to see them, there was an alien, a mad scientist, a guy in lederhosen. Yeah. Another guy wearing full tribal, I don't even know what you call that.
Well, call him out. What was Sean wearing? That's what I want to know.
Sean was wearing a head to toe gown with a massive feathered headpiece. I think possibly steampunk glasses.
Wow.
Quite the sight.
Now, if these guys couldn't sing, I wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, no,
but
they're amazing.
What they do is they do a mashup, which is fantastic. Which, one, I got to get the CD. Remember that? I got to get the CD.
It's sorted.
And then, thank you. And then the other is give us an example, because these guys have put together, tracks that are what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's dead surprising. I think the thing about going to a Lothario's gig is you genuinely can't call what you're going to hear next. No. It's a surprise after surprise after surprise. Yeah, it really is. So, music from Bowie to Bruno Mars. So the mashup that we were talking about earlier on, that great bass line. Uptown Funk.
And the Seven
Nation Army. So you've got that
White
beautiful bass. Exactly.
Now, I'm not going to try singing it because I don't want to get demonetized, and everything else like that. Or sacked, because I can't sing. Thanks, Phil. Reminding people I can't sing.
Sorry, Chase.
Okay, no, it's all right, man. But I liked how you described the Lotharios as unapologetically playful.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And I think that's super important. And we touched on this idea of, as adults, we don't get to play.
Yeah.
And it's a really beautiful, valuable,
Quality.
yeah, it's
be able to
really
tap
important.
into.
You think about kids, you know,
Yeah.
you play pretend and you kind of role play, and you'd have this whole world in your head, and you're not self-conscious, and over the years that all sort of gets knocked out of you, and it's not encouraged in adulthood. And actually, I think a big part of letting go of those inhibitions and just being who you are, what you are, but to be able to translate that onto stage and be like, this is what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you think I look ridiculous.
Yeah.
I hope I look ridiculous. I feel ridiculous. But I feel good.
Well, you like dressing up yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I
I
mean,
do.
you like to randomly dress up as Frida Kahlo with a machete.
Frida Kahlo.
I don't understand that mix, by the way.
I don't think you're supposed to. We're probably better off not trying to like dissect it too much. But my other persona on stage with the Lotharios was I can't say one of the words, it's very rude, but let's call her Festival Idiot.
Okay.
And so this is, if you can imagine the girl who's just got back from Glastonbury, needs to tell everyone she's been to Glastonbury. She's got wristbands up to, you know, her shoulders.
glow sticks.
Yeah. The jewels on her face, the shorts, the hunter wellies, and toilet roll, strapped onto the bum bag. You guys
she
would
got
call
her
it a
own
fanny
toilet roll.
pack, am I right?
Yep. But also, too, is that, you know, like, because you got a lovely voice, just even in the speaking voice.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's amazing. It wouldn't surprise me that you are now a part of your own little a cappella trio.
Yeah.
But you got to tell us the name and where it comes from, because it was kind of funny.
So we're called the Carolinas. And when we first started, it was myself, my sister Amy, and my auntie. We were the original lineup. And we'd gone to our first open mic night without a name. And we got there, and it seemed at this open mic night, which was in Allerton, that everyone was called Dave. The guy who was running it was called Dave. The guy who was playing guitar with was called Dave. The guy watching is called Dave. We were like, what is going on with all these Daves? Anyway, they called us up to the stage, and me being a bit of a smart aleck, when he asked us what our name was as a band, I said, we're all called Caroline. And he was like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Carolinas. And we've been the Carolinas ever since.
Nice one,
Yeah.
nice one. So, I mean, like, as an a cappella band, unfortunately, they're not following the social media rules of having their of having their own Insta, which will change, I'm sure.
We are on Insta, we just don't post it very often. So if you wanted to check us out on there is a little bit on there. It's called our tag is It's the Carolinas.
Oh, well, see, now I made fun of her, and now I feel bad.
And she pulled it back.
Yeah, I think she's lying. But either way you look at it is, because, I mean, I think people would love to, like, you know, probably check you out. You know, social media handles, you already did kind of like give me the handles for the Transform Lives company.
Sure.
And everything. But if anybody wanted to find you, I mean, obviously you have a job to do. But again, it's like, hey, you're also a performer out there.
Yeah.
So are you got any gigs coming up?
So the choir that
I
I
know you're
sing
doing
with,
live mics and stuff, yeah.
I'm with a choir called Over the Water. We did a lot of performances over the whole of the Eurovision. We've been together since way before the pandemic, and then of course everything stopped. So we started back up again in January. With the sole purpose of putting together a Eurovision set, which we did. We came, we saw, I'd like to say we conquered. we did glitter, full-on glitter for 2 weeks. And now our next gig we're doing outside the cathedral on Saturday afternoon with Choir With No Name, which are an amazing choir, led by Mersey Wiley. We're singing as well. And they're fundraising, so there's some abseiling going on in the afternoon. So there's been loads of great music on in the afternoon if people wanted to come down. I think from about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're also going to be busking around the city centre for Pride.
Can you imagine her busking?
Yeah. Well, it's not just me. It's me plus many others. But it's fun. It's really fun.
You mean the choir, not the
choir
Carolinas?
are busking. No. This is with the choir, with Over the Water. So it's just really cool. You just find a spec, we rock up, people are walking past, and then we just burst into song. And we're hoping for Pride.
You like frightening people, don't you?
Yeah.
You were saying that, people, people just kind of
like, surprise, we're going to sing your song at you, Mabel. Exactly. Just stand there and look surprised.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the Viking bus in Dublin. But no, that sounds amazing. I love it when a person has, not like two lives, but have different facets to their personality and everything, which you have demonstrated, very well there, Charlie, and stuff. So, as I said, I am looking forward to this Christmas CD, Brother Latoya.
I will get on to Gordon and make sure that you are added to the list. Gordon, you heard it here.
And also, too, if you want to find out about the Lotharios, I think they are on...
Facebook is the main one for Lotharios, so that would be the place to look for there. The guys have absolutely, resolutely rebelled against Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Because they feel they're too old for Instagram?
You've met them, haven't you?
Well, I've only met Sean.
Would you argue with Sean?
Not really,
there
no.
You go.
But what I'm just trying to say is, you know how the kids, down with the kids, they're against Facebook because it's for the old people.
For the old folks.
So are they trying to say that about,
maybe.
We're not down with Insta because it's for the kids?
Perhaps, yeah.
Perhaps.
Just like,
we're in reverse.
We're here. If you want to come and see us, come and see us. This is where we are.
Reason why I also like the fact that we're kind of ended talking about these two older generation bands is because, it's not just about the young people. Liverpool is the Liverpool of music, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And everything. You're all dating back to the Beatles and stuff. You know what I mean? I can't, end this without giving a shout out to my man Phil on the decks, because he also has an old people band.
Oh, Phil, you're going to have to come back there, mate.
Call the coalition. No, it's not an old people band. Just Phil is old. But
I'm not the oldest.
See? I'm telling you.
I think there's something really special about when you think about what it means to the commitment that you put into a band. When you've got a family, a life, a job, a mortgage, your friendship group, elderly parents, all of these demands on your time.
Yeah.
And yet you can still find and value the hours to go and rehearse, to record, to do whatever it is that you do.
Yeah.
That is full on, and it's important, isn't it?
But it also is never too late to believe in yourself.
Never.
Well.
I didn't start singing properly till 10 years ago.
Yeah. See, look at that. You know what I mean? And also too, this brings us all the way back to why Charlie's here, because transform life.
Mm-hmm. Company.
So hey, it's never too late to transform the direction that you're going in.
Never too late.
Right?
Absolutely.
See, now you wondered why he went down that road and stuff like that. The longer winding one.
Beautifully segued back there.
Well, hey, I like to think I'm good. I like to think I have. But thank you very much, Charlie, for joining us here in the studio. I know Charlie got to go as well and everything like that. But we're finished right on time. And like I said, look for all of these bands. You heard about them here. I think you'll find them interesting. Please like and subscribe down below. I'm your host, Chase Johnson Lynch. And for now, we out of here.